the overall best players at each position within the division. How many of these do you think the Cowboys have the edge over their division rivals? But, fellas, if I were to say, hey, Cowboys X Factor on offense, CBS Sports put this out today. They ranked every team's X Factor, but I really only care about one. Who would you say would be the Cowboys' offensive X Factor?
I think it's Jason Ferguson.
Ooh, I like that.
I like what you're talking about with the position. So I was going to go Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker.
Yeah. I like what you're doing with the position, though.
Yeah. I think if one of those guys can really rise, I think all three are solid dudes between Ferguson, Scooney, assuming he's healthy, and Hendershot. You got three young guys that you like. But to me, Ferguson, I know you feel the same way, Walchuk, is the one that I think has the highest potential to be like, maybe in the conversation for, one of the super stud tight ends maybe in the league.
I'm certainly with you there.
So I'm excited about Ferguson, and if he can have he didn't get the opportunities last year. When he was on the field, he had to block most of the time.
Yeah.
But when he got the opportunities in the passing game, he made some big time highlight plays. So I think he's the guy that if he can take a big step forward in year 2, that could unlock some things in a big way for your offense.
And I'll mention the Saints X Factor for you, Black and Gold B. Absolutely. We give the people what they want. This is a show of the people, by the people, for the people.
Super Bowl.
We got you, babe. We got you. 972 goes Mozzie Smith. This is specifically just offensive X Factors, but if you wanted to put a defensive guy in there, I agree with you. I think the tight end initially is where my thought went to. I thought Jake Ferguson. Then I was like, man, you probably have multiple options there to where if one doesn't step up, maybe somebody else does. So I like the Jake Ferguson pick. I like your pick as well there with Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
They go with Brandon Cooks, which I think might be, okay, sure, I get that. I mean, big offseason addition. The Cowboys desperately need another playmaker.
He's above X Factor. That's disrespectful.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going X Factor if this team can get Tyron Smith to play 80% of the snaps this year. How much better do we feel about this offensive line? And it's a good Tyron Smith. It's Tyron that plays left tackle, where he's been a Hall of Famer throughout his career. He stays healthy for the majority of the season. I think it's completely unfair to say the entire season. That's why I'm not doing it. You know that's going to happen. But if he's able to play 80% of the games and is healthy for the playoffs, your offensive line, I think we feel really good about.
I think you could say that about Terrence Steele, though, too. I think Terrence Steele might be even more of an X factor.
Okay.
We saw what happened to Zach Martin when he didn't have Terrence Steele next to him. It affected really two spots. They couldn't run the ball. Zach wasn't really meshing very well with your Tyron Smith. So, Terrence Steele coming back, that could be huge for them kind of getting that running game going. I'm going to give you another one. And I don't know what role he is going to play, but in the early OTAs and mini camps, we've seen him take a lot of work with the ones. And it's Hunter Lipke.
Yeah.
The kind of the fullback, one back runner. I wonder if I don't think this is a Kyle Juszczyk player, but I wonder if they're going to try and use him in some of those Kyle Juszczyk kind of ways. And whether it's as that fullback, offset back, wing, motion, H, what are they going to do? Because he was getting a lot of work with the ones.
Sure was.
And it might have been but we were seeing a rotation with, early, like Pollard showed up, but then all of a sudden we saw the other backs get opportunity. But then they were going to just straight one back runs. And it was Hunter Lipke was the one back runner.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't one of the other guys.
Well, it's interesting because we also talk about short yardage, pass protection. Those are the things you lost with Zeke. Do they maybe look at Hunter Lipke and say he's a guy that can solve some of those holes that are left behind?
Yeah, I think you've the point about the short yardage stuff. You watch him play at North Dakota State. He was really more. I was expecting when I know when Dane's like, oh, you got to look at this kid. And I said, okay. And I was thinking I was going to look at it like a true fullback. It wasn't. It was a running back. It was like a bigger running back that had some shoulder problems. So now I'm thinking, well, can you play this guy at fullback if he's got shoulder problems? You know, and that might be something he just dealt with at college that he's not having to deal with, today. But he just got so much burn in those OTA and minicamp practices with the ones that I was like,
It's kind of piqued your interest.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. I like that.
It speaks to the running back room and where they're at. Like, that they're like, sure, we'll give any of these guys. We don't have anybody established really after Pollard. It's like it's sort of up for grabs here.
Let the best rise, right, to the cream of the crop here. All right, you guys want to start offensive or defensive with the division rankings? Best player at each position.
Defense.
Defense. Let's go defense.
Yeah,
okay,
go defense.
All right. Defensive tackles. I think the Cowboys have a defensive tackle that is the best in the division.
Okay, so we're just looking for one player at each position.
Yeah, both D tackle spots.
Okay, so
they're going to say no. I'm going to say that the Giants and the Commanders have the 2 defensive tackles.
You got it. Jonathan Allen of the Commanders and then Dexter Lawrence of the Giants.
Yeah.
It's 100% fair. No arguments here.
Yeah.
Edge. 2 edge spots.
Do they including Micah Parsons?
They do include Micah Parsons.
Okay, Micah Parsons is one, and probably somebody from the Eagles.
Yeah, probably Hassan Reddick.
I don't
consider Hassan Reddick. He's a linebacker.
Okay, I think Micah's more of a linebacker than Hassan Reddick at this point.
Yeah, I do too.
But that's no problem. We'll play within the constraints.
It's not Sweat. It's not the Commanders again. It's probably one of the Eagles. It's probably one of the Thibodeau. I don't think they're giving Thibodeau enough credit as a rusher.
Could it be Josh Sweat for the Eagles?
Tank.
Oh, Tank.
It's
okay.
Tank and Micah. Those are your 2 edges.
Should actually be Sam Williams if we're being honest.
So, Sam's got a ways to go. I don't want to take anything away from DeMarcus Lawrence. It's an all-around football player right there. Tank doesn't get the love he deserves.
Drafted by the Tennessee Titans at pick 182.
Linebackers, Hassan Reddick's 1. Leighton Vander Esch is the other.
Wow.
Corner is fascinating. You got your 2 outside corners and your slot corner.
Okay, so
I was pretty blown away by this.
Really?
I wonder if they said all 3 of the Eagles. Well, okay, wait. They probably said 2 of the Eagles. And
they're saying Bradbury and Slay?
Stack them up. You think Bradbury and Slay are better than Diggs and Gilmore?
No. I think.
But I'm just saying how they would vote it. I was saying that they're going to vote that, and they're going to probably throw. It's probably a sneaky slot too.
The Cowboys have all 3 corners.
Oh wow.
Diggs, Gilmore, and Bland's your slot.
I knew. Okay, I thought they were going to throw the 2 Philly corners and put Bland on the slot.
I thought they would put one of the Philly corners in there for sure. But to have all 3, I was like, oh my gosh. Is this?
I think Pro Football Focus the other day did their positional rankings
for the conference.
And San Francisco and Philadelphia dominated.
They did dominate. Yes, they did. I do remember that.
They dominated all the position groups, and it was the Eagles that had the best secondary.
Yeah.
But
I think the Cowboys have
the Cowboys have the best secondary in the conference? I think they do.
Yeah.
I'm just in a discussion right now about the free safety with Hooker. Someone's like,
okay, yeah.
So
that's interesting. The safeties, Donovan Wilson does make the safeties.
Good.
Yeah.
The other one, though, is Cameron Curl of the Commanders.
Yeah, Cameron Curl. No, I'll tell you what, Cameron Curl's a hell of a player for them. And the more I was like all 22 prep for the Commander games.
Like this Curl fella.
I'm like, damn, this dude makes a lot of plays. Why did I not get him the first time around?
And I guess that is a weakness now because you lost Gardner Johnson with the Eagles. Maybe he would have been in there, but now he's gone.
I just feel like, that they could play better at free safety. I feel like Dallas could have a better free safety.
I think that's a big reason why they're playing with Kelvin Joseph over there, maybe.
Well, Kelvin Joseph, and let's see what McQuamu does.
And
is it free?
Is Kelvin Joseph going to get some nickel run as well?
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll throw him out there because that's what I think Todd Archer was saying that when we were talking to Todd about it. It was like, it's interesting that Kelvin Joseph's out there working with the safeties. He did make the point that Jordan Lewis would also do that some, and Jordan Lewis, of course, playing nickel.
I would even look at Jordan Lewis as a possible safety. I know people again on Twitter are just saying, "Oh, that's a wild thought." I'm like, no. You got to think about, especially if Bland turns into
lockdown nickel guy.
Yeah, a lockdown nickel guy. Jordan Lewis is smart. He's tough. He's aware. You could throw him on different little assignments to cover guys.
Yeah,
So I more so than Hooker. I could do a lot more with him than I could with Hooker.
Interesting. He's off the injury, so that's one thing. But Dan Quinn is not shy about moving guys around and finding a spot for him. So I wouldn't put it past Dan Quinn.
Yeah, and I'd also like to see the growth of a guy like Tyler Coyle. I don't know that he really has a shot, but he's got a lot of athleticism. Offense, best quarterback in the division. I think we would go Hurts just entering this year, they do say it's Dak.
What group is this again?
The quarterbacks.
No, I meant
on offense.
What publication we?
I think Blogging the Boys
okay.
pulled this.
Okay, cool.
I think it really just comes down to how much you want your quarterback to be a runner. Because I think when you stack them up, I think pretty much Dak is better in every category except for when it comes to the running.
Yeah, I think it's exactly.
But the running ability is such a tough thing to stop for a defense that it can almost override all of these things.
The Eagles figured that out last year too. I mean, we came to the point in time that Dak doesn't need to be running, but the Eagles have figured that out now too.
So if Jalen Hurts is going to scale back the running, then I think unless he takes big improvements from a passing standpoint, I mean, I would rather have, a limited running Jalen Hurts is not as good as Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I would have been fine with either one they went with.
If you're a quarterback that struggles with technique and accuracy, which receiving core or skill players would you rather have? Dallas's skill players or Philadelphia's skill players? Bad ball catchers.
I think the Eagles, and I mean the Cowboys, you've got 3 deep at receiver, but I think right now they've got the proven top 5 tight end in Goddard, and that's what makes me tilt to the Eagles. And A.J. Brown, they've got a good blend of, you've got the big-bodied but can still go downfield and
really
Brown,
good player.
and then Devontae Smith also, can work the middle of the field. I think both are very comparable. The Cowboys might have the better depth, but we're just going with the top skill group. Oh man, I think
if you're a receiver, if you're a quarterback that struggles with your accuracy, I think you would want the Eagles skill guys
because they're good bad ball catchers. Smith and Brown make circus catches.
Yeah,
I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb is
CeeDee
sort of a
does
circus catcher.
But
I don't know how
Michael
much
Gallup.
Michael
Gallup is capable. We've seen Michael Gallup along the sidelines somehow get 2 feet in bounds, and But I can say if you're going to tell me, okay, I'm not going to be a very accurate quarterback, but I need help. I think the Eagles maybe
lean there too.
Maybe they could help Hurts more than
I hate that
than what the Cowboys guys can help Dak.
Well, I think that this division's loaded with talented receivers. The 3 receivers they go with. Let me know if you disagree. A.J. Brown at the X, Terry McLaurin at the Z.
Terry McLaurin, I love him.
Slot CeeDee Lamb. McLaurin might be the most underrated in the game right now.
I'll tell you what, that man, you talk about a bad ball. He played with so many bad quarterbacks to get paid the way he did. But he deserves every dime he's making right now.
Yeah. Tight end, they go with Goddard. Running back was Barkley, by the way. Your offensive line, how many linemen did the Cowboys get?
And Barkley.
Just one.
Be Zach Martin at guard. Andrew Thomas is the left tackle from the Giants. Lane Johnson, of course, the right tackle from the Eagles. Martin at right guard. Landon Dickerson of the Eagles at left guard. And then Jason Kelsey. So 3 out of the 5 are the Eagles. You get 1 Giant, 1 Cowboy along the offensive line.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense to me. They've invested in that offensive line.
They sure have. They sure have. And eventually, John Michael Schmitz will take over.
You know what? You said his name a bunch, and I don't think you're wrong.
I love that guy, man. I really do. And I'll if I'm wrong,
I'm right there with you. I thought it was a hell of a pick. They needed a center, and they got a center.
Bummed that he ended up going to
He's going to be the new Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, I could see it happening.
Yep.
It's going to be a pain.